Welcome to the Unshakeable Foundation meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. This is a main share meeting, and today it's with great pleasure and much gratitude that we welcome Scott L. from Tennessee, who's come to share on the topic of fear for up to 40 minutes, after which we'll open up for the Q&A portion of the meeting. And with that, Scott, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, and hi, friends. My name's Scott Lee. I'm an addict. I'm actually what they call a tri-addicted. I'm addicted to everything I tried. Maybe some of you can relate to that. And I'm a pig. And I like to open by taking a few moments and asking everyone to invite God to the meeting. It's not, I don't believe God's here. I do believe that. But meetings get better everywhere when I start doing that. So let's take a moment and just do that. Amen. Thank you. And Young, thank you for allowing me to come back. It's a big deal for a guy like me to be invited back anywhere. So it's a beautiful thing. Also, I should tell you, I have a central nervous system disorder, causes my head to do a negative head shake. I'm not even aware of it. So it's going to look like I disagree with what I'm saying. I don't. I may later because I'm still learning, but don't trust the head shakes, if you would. And also, I'm not here as an expert. I'm here as a satisfied customer. And to talk about fear, the book says it's an evil and corroding thread. It has quite a lot of nasty things to say about fear. And I'm not so much going to work on step 4 as I'm going to talk very specifically about fear and some experiences. I find the word in several places in the book where it's very significant to me. Page 84, it says in the 9th step promises, fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. And further down, it says, continue to, and then reading on step 10, continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. I asked myself, what do those things have in common? Well, selfishness, that's I'm wide open after my will. Dishonesty, I'm willing to lie, cheat, steal to get my will. Resentment, I'm angry because I didn't get my will at some time in the past. And fear is the deep concern I not get my will at some time in the future. You hear the common denominator? And then we see it again on page 86 in a very similar list. Resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid. On 88, it's mentioned again. And less danger of fear, anger, worry, self-pity, foolish decisions. In 145, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the book. I'm doing mostly talking, but I want to get these things out of the way. 145 defines my greatest enemies. It says they are resentment, jealousy, envy, frustration, and fear. This is some dangerous stuff, this fear thing, according to what I'm reading here. And I came here absolutely full of it. My single biggest fear was that I wasn't good enough. And that happened to be the greatest truth in my life until I've been with you guys for a while and discovered it was a lie. But my fear was that you'd find out who I really am. And if you can see me like I see me, you'll feel about me like I feel about me, and I think I'm garbage, you'll clearly throw me away. So I spent my life holding up masks. I'm always, if I'm awake, I'm on red alert trying to hold the right mask to keep you from seeing the real me. And that fear that you're going to find out who I am, that I'm not enough, is just horrible. Another fear that I had that was overwhelming was God's will. Let me do it for you. God's will. And you're going to... I can't work with that. The fact is, if I've got a God I'm afraid of, I can't do step 3. It's not possible. Those who read the book often will note the changes that seem to come, but things that you sure weren't there. Here's one that happened last year on page 13. The 11th line uses the word friend, capital F. It's a reference to God as a friend. It's a concept I did not have when I got here. I got here based on what some very well-meaning religious people had told me. I got here afraid that there might be a God. So I had to have a massive change in that outlook to have any chance at all. And on page 68, it says, perhaps there's a better way. We're now on a different basis. Basis of trusting and relying upon God. Trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We're in the world to play the role He assigns. A lady in my home group told the story of she was in line at a bank to cash a check, and all of a sudden there's a hairy arm around her throat and a pistol in her ear, and she's a hostage in a bank robbery. And what she said was, if she stood there, she was physically uncomfortable and not free to go about her business as she would have preferred. But if she could have stayed in the moment, she was really okay. Her fear was that he would kidnap her or that he would shoot her. And that's when I got it. My fears are always in the future. Always. The fact is, right this moment, I'm perfectly okay. I can see about 25 of you, I guess. If you're okay right this minute, nod your head for me. Everybody okay right now? Great, thanks. How about now? How about now? To get between the claps right here, right now. I've got 3 vocabularies, speaking, praying, and thinking. And I must use the word today frequently in all 3 of these because that's the magic to get me out of the fear. The fears are in the future. I don't need to be in the future. There's one who has all power that one is God, but you find him now. Now isn't when I find God, it's where. So I need to be here where he is. I got to do a couple of things to help me remember that. One of them is I have written the word today on some 3x5 cards. I'm going to take you on a short tour of my home and show them to you. That's the one over my shoulder at my desk. Here it is on the front of my desk in 4 different languages. Here it is on the door to my office. Here it is in the throne room, directly across from the throne, where I see it every day. Yeah, there it is. And I say it out loud frequently. I have also invited the men I sponsor and my closest friends that when they hear me talk, if they don't hear the word today, to remind me, because I need to be reminded. And it's important for me to stay in today, because when I do that, I'm okay. I'm okay. But of all the things I got left, my forgetter seems to work the best. So this one day at a time is such a critically important piece. For me, fear, anxiety, depression, and then there's another one. Wait a minute. Oh, a worry are all different levels of the same mistake. It is taking a perfectly good this moment right here, right this second, taking this one and trading it for a bad one at some time in the future that may not happen. If you think about it, that's a terrible trade. And I had to quit trying to fix the rest of my life. I'm no good at it. So I simply need to be here, present in my own life, moment by moment. I'm told that we're not punished for our sins, we're punished by them. I am in the prison and of my own sins. And that's what the bars are made of. And I think that's why step 9 is the freedom step, is because I free myself from that prison by holding God's hand with one hand and my sponsors with the other and taking those bars apart one at a time. And it frees me. And it frees me to walk down any street and run into anyone and not be concerned about who I'm going to find, because I've taken care of it. I've done well. I've got a note here to go to page 78, and I don't know why, but I'm going to find out. Ah, yes. It says we must lose our fear of creditors in the reading on steps 8 and 9. It's one of the fears that has to go. And the way I do that is by making the amends. That's what the whole process is about. And they say to me, well, have faith. Well, I can't. Faith is a state of spirit, and I can't change my spirit. I don't have the power. I can trust. I can make the decision to trust. But faith, I can't have it. But I can pray for it. One of the daily reading books that I have has been recommending that. And so I pray for faith every day. What I've discovered is if I think I'm short of anything, if I think I'm out of anything, what I'm really short of is faith. Because if I have enough of faith, I have enough of absolutely everything else. And it brings me at peace about what you think, about what you say, about what may happen in the future. faith is the balm, BALM, the soothing salve over all of the ills of my life, all of them. And so I pray for it every day. I give thanks for the faith that I already have. And I pray that I might have more faith, because there's no way for me to get too much. I have recently had an interesting breakthrough on that. And I'm 82 years old. I didn't plan to be 82. That includes financially, by the way. And I've been concerned about my finances for some time. And what I finally did within the last week, I had a breakthrough. And I started asking for God's will in that category in my life. We said God's will, yeah. But that's awfully broad brush. I look back to the first time I asked for God's will. How did that happen? Well, it happened as I burned my life to the ground. I was active in alcoholism and drug addiction. I had torn the hearts of everybody that cared about me. I was on the edge of losing my job, and I was in treatment. And I finally turned to God's will very grudgingly. All right, my way didn't work. Thy will be done. And it was just grudging. It seemed like a sentence to me. Okay, and now I'm going to be hanging out in CA and AA with all these old, dull people, and I'm not going to have any more fun. And okay, thy will be done. This morning, as part of my morning prayer, when I said thy will be done, it was exuberantly based on what I have learned, that this is the God of love that I serve. And his will is the very best deal there is and ever will be. And so I asked for it in my life, but to bring it down specifically, I had to bring it down to my finances and say, this is what I have right now financially. And for someone my age and for the kind of money I've made, it isn't much. But thy will be done. Whatever you want me to do with it, I'd like to do that. Please let me know what it is. If you think I need more, send it. If you don't, don't. And I meant it. I have received the gift of faith that this God wants the best for me and knows what it is, and I don't. I was able to do that also with my children this morning, one at a time. It's, Father, I know this is your son also, and you know more about what's best for him than I do. You know what I think needs to change in his life, but I can't ask for that. But what I've discovered, folks, is that God doesn't need my direction. He's hard to train anyway. But what I need is his direction. And so I ask for God's will to be done in my son's life. Sight unseen. Sight unseen. Knowing I'm asking for the very best thing he can have. I did the same thing with my daughter and my granddaughter this morning. That thy will be done is the highest gift I can give them. And I ask for my children that I might be a great dad to them. Now, they're both, I call them alleged adults. I don't need to be their father anymore. I need to be their dad. And I pray that I don't do any damage, because I don't want to do any damage. If there's some way I can lift their spirits, if there's something I can do, help me not miss it. Help me not miss it. Of all of the fears that I was facing, I'm not quite ready to go to that. One of my greatest fears is that I would make a mistake. I spent my life making mistakes, and every time I made one, well, not when I made, but when I realized I'd made a mistake, I beat myself up. There's always energy when I realize I made a mistake. And my history is to use that energy to beat myself up. It's not what it's there for. I think I shared this last time I was here, but it's been one of my great breakthroughs, and I'm going to share it again. I was sitting by a stream, looking across it, and I saw a cloud, and it occurred to me, well, I bet every drop of rain on that cloud's falling in God's will perfectly. I'm sure they are. So's that tree, so's the bird in the tree, so's little minnows in the stream. Why can't I? Why can't I? It was on me hard. I got my answer. The answer is I am, and so are you. I do not believe God put me here to be perfect. If you think you're supposed to be perfect, I wish you a lot of luck. You're going to need a bunch of it. But if it's not my job to be perfect, what's my job? My job is to make mistakes. Well, they've set the right guy. And all my life, so we learn from our mistakes. Well, really? If that's true, nobody on this screen's been arrested more than once. Good luck on that. No. Guys like me do not learn from our mistakes. We learn from living with the results of our mistakes. So an enabler is someone who takes away the results, thereby blocking the learning process. So here's my definition. A mistake, it's an invitation to a lesson. The evidence is, if I'd already learned the lesson, would not have made the mistake. A mistake is just a lesson dressed in its work clothes. That's all it is. And I don't have the power to make a mistake so ugly that God can't turn it into magnificent, not fixed. That's who I am. That's who he is. So here's the learning process as I understand it today. 1, make a mistake. 2, be notified I made a mistake. I don't always know. Sometimes you got to tell me. 3, own the mistake. Fellas, I did that. And if they only know half, I got to tell them the other half. 4, consult a spiritual advisor about how to 5, make the amend. Usually there's an amend to be made. 6, embrace the lesson. The lesson comes with making the amend, not to making the mistake. So I must embrace the lesson as I make the amend. That's where the learning comes from. That's why 9 is the freedom step. 7, share the lesson. 8, when I share the lesson, I have to tell you I made a mistake. If I just share the lesson, I'm preaching and nobody wants to hear it. When I stand as a sinner beside a sinner, he can hear me. 9, make the next mistake. It's I don't know what God's plan is. I can tell you part of his will is for me to make mistakes. I'm convinced that's why I'm here, because they present to me lessons that I wouldn't see any other way. So I have my own permission to make mistakes, because you heard what I do with them, and I do it. And there's a tremendous freedom that came with that. And it took away my fear of mistakes. But that's only half of that freedom. The other half is you guys have my permission to make mistakes. That includes all the guys I sponsor, all my family members. It includes major political leaders that I like and don't like. It includes those of you who got your driver's licenses out of cereal boxes. It even includes my husband-in-law. I see some puzzled looks. I'm from the South. The husband-in-law is the guy that's currently married to my first wife. That's a husband-in-law. And includes everybody. Because if I'm going to be upset by what you do, I'm a prisoner of your behavior, and I don't want to be a prisoner anymore. So I have permission to make mistakes for me and permission for you to make mistakes. That has taken a tremendous amount of the fear out. Living one day at a time. There's more that goes with that one day at a time. When I first saw it one day at a time, I said, yeah, don't drink or drug today. And it certainly means that. It also means live only in this day. It means keep my mind here where my feet are. My feet can learn a lot from my mind. My feet never go into the past, reliving victories, some of which may have actually happened. My feet never go into the future, trying to figure it all out and plan B and plan C and what if this and what if the other. They always stay right here, right now. Right this second, right here, right now. And that's where they need to be, and that's where I need to be. Right here, right now. I think all the good questions contain the word today, and all the good answers contain the word today. Much of my fear comes from trying to fix my future. That's what that worry and depression, all of that stuff is about, trying to fix my future. Those things actually are forms of prayer. They're how I tell God I'm absolutely certain he is not capable of handling my future. I'm going to have to work it out by myself. That's literally what that stuff means for a guy like me. That, by the way, doesn't work for me. So I need to use the word today frequently, and I need to use it in every question I ask. All the good questions contain the word today, and all the good answers contain the word today. So the question isn't, what am I going to do about my finances? That's a terrible question. Question is, what do I do about my finances today? What do I do about my relationship? No. What do you do about it today? Feel the difference? And that takes so much pressure off my life. As I pray for faith, that takes more of the pressure off of my life. And it frees me to be here, right here with you magnificent people. I'm going to share the great truth with you. And some of you are not going to like this, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. In the long run, we're all dead. Okay? We are just passing through here. This is temporary duty. This is temporary duty. We are just passing through. And it's a bit of a problem because death, as you probably noticed, has a bad reputation. Well, it has. And I think part of that's due to our language, because my language indicates that I am this body that you see. I'm 6 feet tall. I weigh 190. I've got gray hair. It sounds, when I use the language, like I'm the body. And if I think of myself as the body, death looks like the ultimate bad deal. When I think of myself as a spirit that inhabits the body, it changes everything. We have this wonderful euphemism for death. We say, he passed. I've long believed that earth is a school and love is a subject. And everyone passes. Some just learn more than others. But everyone passes. They say, you're not getting out of this alive? Not true. We're all getting out of this alive. We all are getting out of this alive. But the question is, what are you taking with you? And I think that's part of it. So I have, my perspective on death has changed dramatically. I lost my fear of death about 35 years ago. I was sitting at my desk one night typing, and all of a sudden I got a twinge in my lower back. Within 15 minutes, I was in pain I did not know was available. I did not know you could be in that kind of pain and remain conscious. I didn't think it was possible. And the term is writhing in pain. What that means is the pain is so severe that although I know I can't relieve it, I can't quit moving to try to relieve it. I just can't quit moving. I'm being driven to the hospital. And it occurred to me that at the third step, I had offered God my will in my life. I'd never offered him my death. And I could easily be dying here. So I did. I said, Father, I am not asking to go. But if it's your will and it's my time, take me. My fear of death has been gone since then. I checked again about 2 years ago. My best friend and I are both between wives right now. Or we're out of the wife business. I'm not sure which one it is. But anyway, we're both unwived. And I'm on a liquid diet. I had cancer in my throat. I did so much radiation. It's all scar tissue, and the opening is tiny. And I'm on a liquid diet for the rest of my life, which is not a big deal. I came to you on a liquid diet. It's just a different liquid. But it does kind of change my social situations. We do a lot of entertaining around food. And I can eat anything if I can grind it up small enough and put enough liquid with it. So we take these two unfortunate young ladies to a Mexican restaurant that we happen to know that has a ground beef enchilada that they grind it really fine. So I'm sitting there with everybody else and I'm having a little bites of this and slushing with iced tea. It's going well. I'm thinking, man, this is going so well. I bet I can eat a piece of cheese. I lost that bet. It stuck halfway down. It wouldn't go either way. And it scared my friends a lot. You know what flashed through my mind? Well, I guess I'm going to die in a Mexican restaurant. So it makes me believe that my fear of death is still gone. The truth, if you will have it, is that I not only don't have a fear of death, I'm excited about dying. Because he passed. That when I think of myself as the spirit that inhabits the body, death, or what I call rebirth, becomes moving day. Well, I'm going to move out of this beat up efficiency apartment, and it is beat up, into a universe and more. They tell me there's a storm on planet Jupiter twice the size of Earth. I want to see it up close, and I want to know why it's there. I want to travel the stars. I want to see the nebula. I want to walk through the pearly gates and hug my mother again. Thank her for being such a great mom, and hug my dad and thank him, and all my mentors that are gone, that are there already. Nothing to be afraid of. I'm excited about it. Death was created by the very same God who created smallmouth bass, vanilla ice cream, and sex. Good job. Thank you. I've seen this work. I'm 82 years old. I've seen it recently. So now I'll admit that my pharmacist got an assist on that, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But because it was created by the God of love, this loving, laughing God who puts a smile on your face right now, it is therefore good and not to be feared, but to be eagerly awaited. The men I sponsor have gotten together and forbidden me to die. They told me I have to stay for 10 more years, and then they keep slipping the start date. I don't think that's right, by the way. Somebody tell me who to write about that. And I want to share a story with you. I spoke at an AA conference a number of years ago, and an older gentleman pulled me aside. He said, I need to ask you something, and no one's been able to answer this, and I hope maybe you can. I said, well, probably not, but I'll take a swing at it. He said, my wife of 40 years was in hospice, and we knew it wasn't going to be long. And everything had been said. We were very much in love. And I was sitting by her bed and saw her exhale for the last time, and I knew that's what it was. He said, a few moments later, I got this magnificent, euphoric feeling all over my body. It lasted for maybe a minute or two, and then it quickly dissipated. What do you think that was? I said, I know what that was. Her spirit gave your spirit one more full hug before she departed for heaven. And he and I both burst into tears, Leslie. We both burst into tears. And I'm certain that's what that was. I sponsored a guy named Jack in Atlanta, and he was diagnosed with cancer in his lungs last summer. And they said he had about a year and a half of treatment, but those dates came down very quickly. And I went and visited him in January, and they were down to saying a couple of months. And I asked him, he and I are just together on his back porch, and I asked him, what is your mission as you go through this process? And he said, my mission is to not let my children know how much pain I'm in. Don't you love him? Isn't that magnificent? The guy's out of himself. But I shared with him the story of the man whose wife of 40 years passed. And I spent an afternoon with him, and then I spent the rest of that weekend with my children. They live in Atlanta. And I drove back to Nashville Sunday night. Monday night, about 8:30, my phone rang. That's very unusual. Everybody knows I'm in bed by 7. But I looked, and it was Jack. So I answered. It was not Jack. It was Jack's son on Jack's phone. And he said, we're at the hospital. Dad is conscious. He can no longer talk. They say he will not make it through the night. Would you talk to him again? I said, sure, put the phone down there. And I loved on him again. And I reminded him of the story. And that was the end of that. I went to sleep. Woke up about 5:20 the next morning, which is a fairly normal time for me. Hit the quick trip to the bathroom, hit the start button on a coffee pot, and began the love meditation. I hope you're familiar with that. If you're not, I hope you'll find out. But it's the mental image is that love is a column the size of the top of my head. It comes down out of heaven, now through the top of my head, out my nose, my mouth, and my chest. And I send it to lots of individuals. And by the way, this morning, about first light, I send it to all of you. I send it to all the places I'm going in a given day. And that morning, I was into my love meditation. And all of a sudden, I got this tremendous, warm, euphoric feeling all over my body. And as it started, I said to myself, that's Jack Pierce. He has born again. And he's gotten permission to hug me one more time before he departs for heaven. I completed my love meditation, and it lasted for maybe a minute and then dissipated. And I walked into my office about 6 o'clock and opened my phone, and his daughter sent me, he had passed at 5:36 that morning. Believe what you like. I went to my closest family members and my closest friends, each one of them, and made them a promise. When I pass, if the God of love will allow it, I will give their spirit from my spirit one more hug before I depart. I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I remain excited about dying. And I'll tell you a secret. When your fear of death leaves, it pretty well cleans out the fear locker. That don't leave much. I got some time left. I'm not inclined to continue. I got some other things I could talk about, but I wanted to get that part about death and about passing and about the rebirth in. Because if you can embrace that, it changes everything. Young, I thank you all again. We invited God. I'm going to say he came. I'll just say thank you for coming. Thank you for an open heart. And if you guys would, everybody, send hearts at the same time. See a lot of them. Let's send a bunch of hearts, would you? Don't you just love that? We serve the God of love. That's what this whole thing is about. And the closer I get to him, the less chance I have of being back into fear. I love you all so much. Thank you. I'm going to quit right there.
First up, Bill, do you want to come in?
You know, they always ask me that in the UK. Do I want to come in? I raised my hand because I want to come in, but you guys are so polite. You're just double checking. Scott, I have to thank you. I didn't know it was question and answer time. We got a lot of friends on here. I want to tell you I love you. Lady Scott is much better looking in person than he is on Zoom, and he ain't bad like that. I just want to say one thing, Scott, because I followed you. I've known you for years. You said, what am I taking with me when I go? And I think the answer is, and you may have shared it at one time, it's what I left behind. It's who did I touch? Who did I help? Who did I share the spiritual awakening with? That's what it is. That's the only thing we can take. The rest of it stays here anyhow because it doesn't count up there. You know, I lost my mom 1.5 years ago. Bittersweet, but she was in a terrible, terrible position. And I know that on October 19th of 2024, we did what you taught us in Alcoholics Anonymous. We put her hands in God's hands. We let go. We let God. And that's the message of AA. It doesn't matter. Like you said, we're all not going to get out of here. Not in the physical. But if the book says that if we were to grow, it had to begin somewhere, it never talks about ending, does it? The kingdom is within, and the kingdom never ends because it's inhabited by the king. I love you, brother. I'll give you a call this week.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks so much. Jessica, would you like to come in?
Hi, yes, thank you so much. That was a beautiful share, particularly for me because I am battling an anxiety disorder, and what you said about, today and fears of the future and just being in the moment really resonated with me. I wanted to ask you, you talked about the fear of death leaving you. What are some of your other biggest fears that you had when you were in recovery or during your recovery? Sorry, we're always in recovery, of course. And how did you overcome them?
It was the prayer thing. That my biggest one when I got here was that you'd find out who I really am and throw me away. And my sponsor was very helpful on that through going through the step work. What I discovered was this God I talked about that created all those great things was not having a bad day when he created me or any of you. I was just wrong about that. I was just wrong. And that thing ran my life. That was the biggest one for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, for your question, and thanks, Scott, for the answer. Next up, Isaac, would you like to come in?
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, wonderful service team. Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm an addict. And Scott, thank you so, so much for your beautiful share and for that experience you shared around the spiritual hug you were given during that person passing. I had the same experience when my grandmother passed while I was holding her last year, and it was really nice to hear that coming from someone else's experience. My question to you is, so around fear, have you had a fear kind of reappear in different ways throughout your recovery, like maybe a consistent one? And if so, what's been your, I guess, practical experience in dealing with that fear or turning it over as time's gone on? Thanks.
No, I really haven't. Since that fear of death left about 36 years ago, that pretty well cleaned out the fear locker for me. Every once in a while, I get a little bit invested in what y'all think about me, but it doesn't last very long. And I just go back to remembering that there's a God and I'm not him, and I'm his child, and he loves me beyond my ability to receive love. And that's what this thing is about, I think. It's about opening me up. The problem was never God's unwillingness to give. The problem was my inability to receive. that's really a lot. Sometimes what it all comes down to. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac, for your question. And Scott, thanks for answering that one. Next up, Young.
Thank you, Danny. Hi, everyone. My name's Young, a recovered addict. Scott, thank you so much, sir. Always great to see and hear you. That story you told reminded me when my father passed, and this was when I was still in the madness and I didn't even believe in God. And I was at his bedside, and I could feel that he was taking his last breaths. He was at the end, and he just took this one breath. He just went, and I was staring at him the whole time. And in that moment, he wasn't there. You know, it was just a shell. And I know today his spirit had just left, you know, and I remember just what happened? He's not there anymore. Anyway, so thank you for sharing that. It was great to hear you. My question, I've got two questions, if I may. A friend of mine, he often says, perhaps this whole deal that we do here, or part of it, is to prepare us for a clean death. And I just wanted to know what you thought about that, your interpretation. And then the second question was, on your first fear inventory, what were your top 3 fears? Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, that clean death, that's an interesting, especially if I think of it as a rebirth, is it's so important for me to clean everything up. There's a prayer we use frequently to close an AA meeting. And one of the phrases is, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive. I got to make sure that and forgiveness is not something I could do. It's something I had to open up to receive. That prayer on page 552 worked for me, praying stuff for them, good stuff for them when I didn't mean it, until eventually I did mean it. But I think that is more important than life or death. And I actually mean that. I cannot afford the price of my soul stand naked before my Creator, guilty of hating one of his other children. I can't pay that price. It doesn't matter what they did. It simply doesn't matter. That I need to get emotionally disconnected from all of that. And that's what this process is about. You've heard my fears. My fear of death was the big one. My fear of being found out, and the fear of the financial fear. Those were the big ones when I first started. I just did another 4-step a couple of weeks ago. And I'm not holding myself up as a shining example, but I've received the gift of not having any fears right now. I'm excited about dying, and I'm not concerned about any of the rest of it. So when I say thy will be done in each category of my life, I actually mean it, based on this gift I've been given of faith, that this is the loving God who wants what's best for me. And that's what I'm asking for. Did I answer your question, Young? Thank you, sir.
Question, Scott. Thanks again. Next up, Raina. Do you want to come in?
Hi, everyone. Rena, alcoholic. I know I'm just going to start crying. So my question is, how do I know God loves me? The answer is, I get on this meeting and you're speaking of it. I don't know how to walk in it. I don't know how to walk in it, and I'm full of fear. And I'm 45 days clean, but I am feeling every single pain and grief that I've numbed myself with for 49 years. I don't know how I am. And it feels like needles. It feels like needles. I'm sorry.
No, Rena, I teach crying. I actually do. When I came to you, I hadn't cried in over 20 years. And the man in my home group literally taught me to cry. Because my emotions, how my spirit communicates with my mind and my body, I can't afford to block the channel. And he taught me to cry. I cried in front of a pretty good sized group earlier today. And so I cheer for your tears. I'm told my tears are the holy water that washes the windows of my soul. And I think that's right. I think that's right. And I disagree with something you said. You know how to do it today, and that's enough. You don't need to know how to do it tomorrow, today. Get it right today. Take loving actions today. Walk in the sunlight of the Spirit today. Ask Him to run your life today. Get that today thing rocking. You'll do great. I know God loves you because He brought you to us. And you're with us now. Stay with us. We need you badly. We need you badly. We have so much love to share with you. I'll tell you a secret, Rena. You can't receive without giving, and you can't give without receiving. It's a spiritual law. And as you will open yourself up to receive from us, we will have the blessing of being able to give. Yeah. Yeah. Get it right today. Get it right today. Walk in the sunlight of the Spirit. I say I'm trying to get my soul to get a tan from the sunlight of the Spirit. That's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on. And just part of my morning prayer is that I'll not miss any chances to be of service or spread love and joy today. Some of you heard me talk about it. Some of you have seen me do it. So I carry these right now. So when a traffic comes to a stop, instead of cursing them, I carry them with me all the time. That's why I wear the vest. It's very stylish and I look very cool. But it's because I need the pockets. I'm an old man and you got to have the pockets. So I put the nose on. I drop my window. And I start blowing bubbles out the window to get the other driver's attention. They look because of the bubbles. They see the clown nose. They start laughing. I start laughing. We're still stuck in traffic because laughter is contagious. We're still stuck in traffic, but I've turned it into a party. If we stay stuck, I get out and start passing these out. I'm carrying maybe 50 noses and bubbles right now in my car. And I carry them with me all the time. I'm walking through a grocery store or an airport, and there's a mom there with a couple of kids. And I'm going to tell you right now, those are good kids. They're just having a hard day. And I get a couple of meters away from them. I nose up. I step back. I blow one stream of bubbles. The crying stops right now. And the kids will lock on the stream of bubbles like a good bird dog coming on point. And I go up to the mom and say, look, I'm a stranger. Don't want to give your kids anything, but the kids can have the noses and bubbles. I'd like to give them to you. What happens? What happens is those kids had their day lifted. Who else? Mom, do you think her day's any better? How about everyone who saw it? How about me? How about me? If I'm slushing love and joy all over you, it splatters onto me every time. And part of my morning prayer is I don't miss any chance to be of service to spread love and joy today. And I look for ways to do that. And it has changed my life. It absolutely changed my life. I'm assuming you all have heard the Alcoholic Addict theme song. I'm from Nashville. It may be that you haven't, so I'm going to sing it for you. Me, 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 me. So I need to get out of me, 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 me. And the way I do that is I look for ways to be of service to you, to lift your spirit, to just put some positive into whatever's going on. And I get a chance every time I meet someone. If it's a stranger on the street, I smile. That's why I wear the bow tie. I didn't wear it for you. I wear a bow tie every day. And it's because people look at it and grin. I don't know why, but they do. So I wear it for them. Why wouldn't I? And the greetings. People will say, how are you? I say, well, I'm blessed almost to tears. How are you? It's so good. I think I must be God's favorite kid. How are you? If the genie pops out of the bottle and says 3 wishes, I'm going to have to tell him to take the day off. Call me tomorrow. I got nothing to ask for. How are you? Because if it's any better, I'm going to have to become twins just to receive it. And Rena, I will say this one to you. Scott, how are you? Better for seeing Rena today. And that's a fact. And that's a fact. Looking for an opportunity to spread love and joy. And it splashes onto me every time. Thank you for sharing, Rena. Did that answer your question?
Thank you, Rena. And Scott, thank you for the answer. Next up, Ollie, would you like to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Danny. My name's Ollie. I'm a recovered addict. Thanks so much, Scott. Yeah, my spirit is so lifted from hearing your beautiful share. My question, I've had a few questions, but in step 11 it says something like, having just made conscious contact with God, it's not probable that we're going to be inspired at all times. We may pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Have you got any recent absurd actions and ideas that you can share with us?
Well, I haven't been caught. No, because I tell you what I do is I bounce it off of my team. To me, recovery is a team sport. First word, first step, we. If I have an action that I'm considering, I've actually got one I'm considering right now. It's a fairly serious life change. And I have bounced it off of my two closest friends, my spiritual advisors, and I'm praying about it. And I do not go quickly into any of those things because I need to be able to stay in today. I believe guidance comes right on time. It's rarely early. So I don't need to try to get tomorrow's guidance today. I have done plenty of absurd actions. If you want to know how to make a good investment financially, follow me around. If I buy something, sell it short. If I sell something, buy it. You'll do great. You'll do great. But I don't worry about that. Somebody pointed out to me that God's got plenty of money and that I'm his child. And that when I need more, I'll have it. I'll have it. And I need to seek his kingdom first. My focus needs to be on trying to find ways to be of service to you. When I do that, it works out pretty good. If I have a new idea, I heard an old timer tell a newcomer that he was sponsoring. He said, if you have a good idea, call me. If you have a great idea, come right over. And I think that's probably pretty good advice. So I bounce all of those things off of my team before I do anything. It has served me well. Thank you. Did I answer that, Ollie?
Thank you, Ollie. Great question. Scott, once again, thank you so much. Next up, Ollie P. Would you like to come in?
Hiya, Ollie, recovered addict. Thank you very much for your share. That was magical. And I have a question. How did you learn to cry again? Or to cry? I cried a lot in my using. I was an emotional up and up roller coaster a lot. I remember crying at all sorts of things in my life. But since you mentioned it, since I got this recovery since step 1, I haven't cried at all, even when my partner told me he was falling in love with me and all of that, not a tear. And I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm different, of course, that's fine. But since you said that somebody taught you how to cry again, how did you do it?
I posted my contact information in the chat. And if you will send me an email, I'll send it back to you. It's a 2-page Word document. But it's based on this. No baby was ever born unable to cry. The inability to cry has been learned. It can be unlearned. And we started there. And I began by giving myself permission to cry, giving myself permission when I realized, and it took me a while to get there, that anyone who disrespects a man that cries, I don't want what they have. So I don't care what they think. So that took that right off the table for me. The people that have what I want respect my tears. They admire them. So that made it so much easier for me to begin the process. And then I just followed the directions. And I'll say it's a 2-page Word document. And send me an email, and I will be happy to send it to anybody who wants it. And for those who are sponsoring or going to sponsor, you're going to have someone you sponsor that can't cry. That day is coming. I really recommend you get a hold of this thing or find some other way to be able to learn to cry, to teach crying. I've got to be in touch with my emotions. They are how my spirit communicates with my mind and my body. I cannot afford to block that channel. I can't pay that price. Something else came up a few minutes ago. I was thinking about, there's a phrase in that prayer I was talking about, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God's will is done in heaven. Man's will is done on earth and in hell, I believe. And I think part of what I'm invited to learn is Schoolhouse Earth is, do I want to go to the place where God's will is done all the time, where mine is not? It's a pretty interesting question. But the closer I get to it, the more tan my spirit gets from being in the sunlight of his spirit, the more convinced I become that his will is the very best deal there is. Yes, I want to go where his will is done all the time, where mine is not done at all. It changed a lot of things for me. Thank you so much. Did I answer your question, Ollie?
Thank you, Ollie. Great question. And Scott, thank you so much. We've got time for another quick question if anyone wants to come in. If not, I'll ask a quick one. Okay, Scott, just very quickly, thank you so much for being absolutely amazing. Just one final question. Over the time you've had in recovery, how many sponsors have you had? And what is something very quickly that each sponsor has taught you over that time? Thank you once again.
I've had quite a few sponsors. If I could point at a single thing, the single most critical thing, one thing, it's to love. Very simply, to love. There's a phrase I hear that troubles me greatly, and the phrase is unconditional love. That rubs my fur the wrong way. Love is by her nature without condition. And when I say unconditional love, I'm implying that there's such an animal as conditional love, and there is not. Many of us, including me, grew up in homes with conditional approval or conditional acceptance where the love should have been. Love is by her nature without condition. And when I can very simply love, there are no adjectives that modify love. When I can very simply love, I've done it. The only question I ever get to ask is, what's the next most loving thing I can do right now? When I can hold that question in my mind during the day, I have some astonishing days. I think they've taught me to love all of you, and to love myself. Thank you. What a great question. I got a cute thing I'd end with if you let me. My third sponsor, Rusty, he picked up the nickname Rusty at the end of his drinking. He was drinking mouthwash mixed with Kool-Aid, and he wet his pants so many times his zipper rusted shut. Rusty said, in the history, Michelle, did you like that one? In the history of planet Earth, no human has ever been put in an insane asylum for being insane. Never, not one time. They put us in there for acting insane. No one's been let out for being sane, let us out for acting sane. So on those days when you're crazy, if you don't act on it, they won't know. Don't tell them they're not ready. Pick up the phone, tell one of us we're ready, and we are not all crazy on the same day, Rena. Don't tell them they're not ready. Thanks. I love you.